is I, Jonathan Reagan, the uncommon voice for the common man, coming to you today live from Shadyside, Ohio, where I have waited 3 days to hear what the man who is not a Muslim actually had to say in front of the American Israeli Public Affairs Committee. He gave his big speech today after he pulled off one of the most incredible foreign policy blunders I have ever seen. So, we all know what he said about setting Israel being forced to set back their borders back to the 1967 boundaries so that we can move the peace process forward. And of course, this came to a big shock to everybody in Israel, including their Prime Minister, Bibi Netanyahu. He had no idea that the man who was not a Muslim was going to say something incredible like that. But since he said it and he's been getting a lot of heat for it, let me explain something to you. Everybody was waiting for what he had to say to this Jewish lobby committee in Washington, and he has climbed up upon Mount Sinai and spoken the words. And the word is this, quote, "It allows the parties themselves to account for the changes that have taken place over the last 44 years, including the new demographic realities on the ground and the needs of both sides." Now, that's absolutely incredible, considering that the changing demographics from 44 years ago until now means that there's Hezbollah, there's, the Islamic Jihad, there's Hamas, those demographics. So to appease them, the basic idea is just to go ahead and give up all that territory that you took to create a buffer between yourselves and this big body of water known as the Mediterranean Sea. Now, after he shoots off his big mouth, the man who is not a Muslim must not be much of a military tactician. The same guy, six-gun Obama, that wasted bin Laden doesn't understand a thing about military tactics. If you look at what Obama says in 1967, the borders of Israel was a 4-mile wide strip that extended for roughly about 150, 200 miles. 4 miles wide. He wants them to give that all back to the Palestinians, which would mean there would be this nice little 4-mile wide strip, and that's where Israel would be. Now, when Bibi Netanyahu used the term indefensible, it actually meant several things. I picked up on it instantaneously. A, he's telling Obama that I can't possibly sell this to my people because they'd laugh at me. It'd be indefensible. But from a military tactic, it is also exactly what the man says, exactly what he means. They could never defend a 4-mile wide strip against the likes of Hezbollah and Hamas and all those radical Muslims. He couldn't do it. He knows that, and that's what indefensible means. I understood that as soon as it came out of his mouth. But apparently, our man who is not a Muslim president doesn't get that. That's why, just like Moses, when Ramsey said that your God may not be a very good general, that is exactly what the deal is with the man who is not a Muslim. He doesn't understand anything. And with that being said, the man who is not a Muslim right now says, okay, well, I heard it today, as a matter of fact. The man who is not a Muslim says, okay, well, look, if we're going to negotiate with the Taliban in Afghanistan, they're going to have to renounce violence. They're going to have to adhere to the Constitution. They're going to have to cut all their ties with the radical Al-Qaeda element. Okay, now that's what he tells the Afghan people and the Taliban and the Afghan government. But when it comes to talking to the Israelis, we don't hear any talk about the Palestinians getting rid of Hamas, getting rid of Hezbollah, or getting rid of all these radical elements in their country. No, we don't hear anything about that, and they keep firing rockets into Israel, and Obama never says anything about that either. He just says, give back the land, go back to the 67 border. But, of course, now he's in big trouble because everybody understood that he just threw Israel under the bus. We all understood that. But that's why, as far as I'm concerned, that Netanyahu is the prime minister. Netanyahu is the prime minister of Israel because Obama is the president of the United States. They knew when Obama was going to be elected. They understood it. They knew it was coming. And they knew that for 4, possibly 8 years, they were on their own. They aren't going to get anything from this guy. They know that. The man who is not a Muslim is not going to support Israel. For God's sakes, he had one of his national security advisors give an anti-Semitic joke, and nothing was done about it. The guy's still there. It doesn't make any difference what Israel does. But when Netanyahu basically told Obama to go pound sand, they're not going back to the 67 borders. We all saw that press conference. Obama looked like a spoiled brat. I'm going to take my damn peace process and go home. He's sitting there with his hands like this. He could have killed Netanyahu. How dare him interrupt and make light of anything that His Mightiness Obama has to say. But it is absolutely incredible to see this clown boy president of ours make such a political mistake in foreign policy. All it does is show his inexperience and his naivety. It's just absolutely incredible. You don't do shit like that. You do not go and say something radical like that to one of our allies and then 2 days later expect them to be nice to us and just to roll over and just do exactly what it is that he says. It's not going to happen. And that is exactly what Netanyahu told him. And it made Obama look like the jerk that he is. And for another thing, where in God's name is our Secretary of State on this? Do we have a Secretary of State? Her forte is supposed to be foreign policy. Well, after Clown Boy makes his big gaffe like this, what's he got to say about it? You never see her. You haven't heard one damn word from our Secretary of State since the man who is not a Muslim made this big mistake. Not one word. She's probably hiding in the damn bushes somewhere because she doesn't want to be embarrassed by the man who is not a Muslim in his clown boy foreign policy. It's absolutely incredible to listen to this. And today, at this meeting, he had to tell Israel that his support for Israel, or our support, America's support for Israel, is quote-unquote ironclad. An American president should never, ever have to tell Israel that that our support is ironclad. It shouldn't ever come out of a sitting American president's mouth. It shouldn't. They should know that our support for them is ironclad. They shouldn't have to have that reinforced and reassured because the man who is not a Muslim shut off his big left-wing mouth, and now all of a sudden he's trying to make nice with them to try and get the Jewish vote. We all know what the hell's going on here. He's fooling no one. But I'm going to tell you this right now. This guy is in over his head, and he needs to be defeated in 2012 before he gets us all killed. And with that being said, this is your third favorite Islamophobiac saying this to you now. The only thing that can be done here is to obviously just give Israel a waiver about the 1967 border. That's right, just a waiver. We say it's in 1967, but we're going to give you a waiver, and you can set your borders wherever the hell you want to. It worked with health care. It will work with Israel. Until next time, I say this now. Over and out.